One of the most common things we would get asked as we were telling people about our move here, or that we still get asked, is why? Why move abroad? Why France? Why Nice more specifically? So we figured we get into it.
So let's start why we left, why we wanted to move abroad. So we were living in LA for, my gosh, almost 20 years, both of us.
Yeah.
And we loved it. You know, we built an incredible community there. Our family, or my family, was close by. Weather, so many good things about LA that we really loved. But we'd always kind of had it in the back of our minds that we did want to spend time abroad, give our daughter a chance to spend time abroad as well. So 2 years ago, we tried about a month in Bali, which was incredible. We love Bali. We've been there a couple of times before. And so it felt like a great place to just a little testing ground to see what it would be like to spend a month abroad.
For several reasons, it just wasn't the right place for us. But I think we did walk away from that knowing that I think this is something that we did want to pursue at some point, like moving abroad.
Yeah. And it felt doable because we'd done it for a month at least.
Yeah.
We were also at an inflection point where our daughter was graduating from preschool and would be entering TK or pre-K at the local elementary school. And so it felt like a great transitional point where she was already graduating. All of her friends would be going to a new school where we could move her and it wouldn't feel quite so jarring for her. It was also, we wanted to do it when she was young enough where she didn't have quite so many strong ties and was a little bit more flexible in terms of making the move and learning the language. With going to public school, that also meant that she would be starting shooter drills at the age of 5, which felt just not great to us in general. Did not want to have to put her through that. There's a lot of gun safety issues that we have concerns with. So knowing that, being able to have the privilege to take her out of that situation, especially when she's such a young age and does not understand, felt really important for us.
And along with that, the just general political climate in the United States kind of came to a head around the time that we were already kind of like planning this. Mm-hmm. And so that just kind of like further solidified like our decision and our like desire to, move abroad.
Yeah.
So why France? Why Nice? One of the many reasons, a big reason why we landed in the south of France, simply weather. We got really spoiled with great year-round weather in Southern California. And then in the middle of there, I spent a year in Seattle. Did not vibe well with the rain and the gray. Marissa and I did a year in Cincinnati during a winter in which they had a record amount of snowfall. And this Texas and California girl said, no more snow.
I think we were both just happier people when it's warm and sunny.
Considering the weather, we started looking at Portugal, Spain, France, but eventually narrowed it down.
Yeah. So I studied French starting in middle school and then high school and a little bit in college. So had at least a little bit of a foundation to work with, even though I hadn't practiced it very much in a really long time. And then my family also has a little bit of a background in France. My great-grandfather studied medicine in Paris. My grandparents both studied and lived in Paris. My grandmother got her PhD in comparative literature and French and Chinese. And then my dad also, because of that, learned some French growing up. So I visited Paris multiple times when I was growing up. And so there's just a little bit more history and a little bit more of a comfort level in France, familiarity here.
Yeah. Whereas looking at the other countries, neither of us speak Portuguese
or Spanish.
And very little Spanish.
I can count to 10.
Another big thing that we were looking for is that we really needed to be in a city. Coming from a large city like Los Angeles, I think the romanticized French countryside wasn't as appealing to us.
We like the liveliness and busyness of a city. And, there's lots of people around, lots of events happening, lots of restaurants and
Exactly.
things to explore. And then with that, we were looking for a city that was really walkable, that had really good public transportation. So I think for us, what was really important is that there's a lot of things happening within a half-mile radius that we can easily access without a car. Another reason why we picked an apartment that was really close to our daughter's school as walking distance is coming from LA. I was really excited to get rid of our car and not have to drive for a very long time. And I just feel like discoverability and all of that is so much nicer when you're able to walk around.
Along the same vein, there's a train that goes right through Nice that can get us up to Paris, take us to Italy super easily. And Nice has a nice international airport with direct flights back to the US, but also all over Europe, all over the world, making it easy for us to travel, but also easy for people to come see us. One of the things in our consideration was that it was going to be a good place to raise our daughter. She's a big, major reason for this move. Like, we want to give her a good international experience. We wanted her to be safe and have a good, thriving childhood. And we felt like we could find that in France. In fact, UNICEF report from earlier in 2025 listed France as number 3 country in the world for childhood well-being, including like mental health, physical health, and skills. And so it felt like a good place for us to land.
She certainly eats better here, that's for sure. And speaking of food, that was also an important criteria for us. We're coming from Los Angeles, where the kind of diversity and access to food of so many different cultures and ethnicities, including Chinese, and Los Angeles is really well known for that. While it's not quite the same, you still have a decent number of different types of cuisines, different types of grocery stores from different countries and cultures. So that was one of the things that we scoped out when we came to scout Nice last year, was like checked out a Chinese grocery store, tried some Chinese restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants. There's good Thai, there's incredible like Lebanese, Moroccan. It is very much a melting pot of a lot of different cultures and also a lot of tourism, which means it also brings in even more kind of different types of food.
We also wanted a really good place for Joey, a place where he would thrive. There are so many dogs here. It's a very dog-friendly city. All the dogs are really well behaved. Also, it was really easy to get him here. He didn't have to do a quarantine. He just had to be, up to date on all his like vaccinations and everything.
I mean, easy. We certainly had to hunt down a USDA approved vet and make an appointment like months in advance, get checked up, make sure he fit all of the criteria.
But there are other countries where he would have to be quarantined for anywhere from 10 days to 30 days. Some countries don't allow dogs from foreign countries. So like Bali, for example, he couldn't have come.
Which would not have worked for us. The other thing for us is it's been maybe not a criteria for us moving somewhere, but we found has been really helpful is healthcare. So obviously France has universal healthcare, which is not something that exists in the States. Healthcare is considered a human right here. It is not attached to your job. And I think being in Nice, we have relatively good access to healthcare. As we've all been sick. We've all had to go to the doctor. Even Joey's had to go to the vet. And we found it really easy to get appointments, get access to doctors, get medication. It's been, overall a very good experience.
We really value access to nature and the outdoors. Coming from Los Angeles, you're right by the ocean, but then you can get to the mountains in an hour and a half. California also has a ton of like amazing national parks, from deserts or mountains or whatever. We found that Nice is pretty similar. Obviously, we're right here on the Mediterranean Sea and the water's 2 blocks away, But similarly, we can go an hour, hour and a half, and be up in the mountains at these ski resorts or for hiking or camping, things like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of national parks that I'm really excited to get to next spring or summer. We didn't really have time to get to them in the last few months, but they're on the list for next year.
So yeah, there was just a plethora of reasons of why we wanted to move abroad, why now was the right time, and why Nice just seemed like the best fit for us and our move.
Yeah, bit of a better life, a little slower paced life. Better baguettes. So that's why we picked Nice. If you have any other questions about how we came to that decision or any other places we looked at, let us know in the comments.
See you next time.